Before we get into this video, I want to let you guys know that it's sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an amazing online learning platform by creatives for creatives that's all about teaching you new creative skills. From illustration to animation to photography, there's so many things you can learn on Skillshare right now. One of the favorite classes I've taken on Skillshare is Thomas Frank's productivity class. Is helping me be more together and more organized, and I'm so thankful for all of the easily accessible lessons on Skillshare. If you're interested, the first 1,000 of you guys who click on the link in the description box below will get a free month of Skillshare Premium. So you guys know that I try to use my platform for good. I try to talk about the things that are really important, the things that are sensitive, the things that are hard-hitting, and I feel the need to come to you guys and tell you that if you're interested in seeing M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, Old, please don't do that. So M. Night Shyamalan's new movie is basically about this family who goes on vacation and they go to this beach, and the beach ends up having these magical properties that age people very, very rapidly, and hilarity ensues. I wanted to say that because it flowed well, but I don't think this film is meant to be funny. It is a doozy of a film, and much like a lot of M. Night Shyamalan's movies, I feel like I really liked the premise, but I was not crazy about the execution. So I wanted to give you guys my little review of this movie because I did not see a trailer. So I went in kind of sight unseen. I wanted to get out of the house, so I went to the Chinese theater and I watched Old, and yeah, it was a movie. It definitely was a movie. So I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I'm gonna completely ruin this film. I'm gonna tell you guys some of the stuff that I liked, some of the things that I didn't, and tell you guys some of the more memorable, strange moments in the movie. Because, if you want to see it, go see it. But if you don't want to see it, you know what happens by watching this video. So I guess let's start with the things that I liked. I enjoyed... It was a good camera. They used a nice camera. Other things I liked. So there's a character in the movie called Mid-Size Sedan. He is a rapper who the girl from the family recognizes, and he is so fine. I can't talk about this movie without acknowledging this. He's so fine that I'm willing to put my personality in a bag and store it away for a little bit and become whatever he wants me to become. That's basically how good looking he is. He's just so attractive, and he's really, really gorgeous in this movie, and he has a really, really cool hairstyle. It's very kind of samurai. It was doing it for me. He gets killed. He gets killed. Spoiler alert, pretty much everyone in this movie dies, except for the two children. So that's basically all of the positive things that I liked in the movie. Is dude's hot, camera's interesting. So my first main criticism of this movie is that I went into it expecting it to be kind of a thriller, and it is. I think it takes itself fairly seriously. There is some comedy in it. This same premise could have been a comedy, and I think it would have actually been pretty good. And I actually think I would have enjoyed it more because it wouldn't have been taking itself so seriously. At the very beginning of the film, there is this little relationship between the son of the man who owns the hotel that they're at and the little boy from the family. And it's established really early on that this kid doesn't have friends, so he tries to latch on to any of the kids that end up coming to the hotel, and he starts passing notes in code with the little boy, and this is a plot device that is established that will come back up later. I mean, the characters in this movie are incredibly one-dimensional. One of the things that the little boy in the family is constantly doing is walking around and asking people what their name is and what their occupation is. And this does become relevant in the film, I guess, but it's almost like that was the approach when writing these characters. Now, I know that this is a comic book. I learned from Twitter that apparently this is based on a comic book. I've never read it. I don't know what it's like in the comic book, but the characters in this are so one-dimensional. You've got the very, very rich doctor dude who is clearly sort of dealing with some mental health issues, and he's kind of racist a little bit. There's a bit of like a suggestion of him being racist because he's very antagonistic to my baby daddy. And I mean, the way that they show the racism is that he doesn't want to set up camp next to the black guy, and there's this body that they find, and he's just immediately suspecting him. His wife is this very stereotypical, vain, blonde woman who always needs to look pretty. They're clearly in some sort of abusive relationship. He has essentially dementia, I believe it is, and they never really say it, but he has dementia because he's too proud to say it. And he at one point tells her to put some makeup on her face. She looks terrible, and she just becomes very obsessive about her appearance, and that's just her personality, to the point where the way that she dies is that now this death was funny, I have to say, and people laughed. At one point she runs away because she's rapidly aging and becoming very ugly, and she just kind of warps into this monster, essentially. Her back gets all messed up, and the one thing that they keep showing in this movie is that when you're injured, you heal almost immediately, and the way that she dies is she's kind of like trying to chase after the little boy and girl, and her body kind of cracks in several places, but it heals as it's cracking, and so she just ends up like a cracked, like a pretzel sort of mess. And that was ridiculous. It was so ridiculous that it was pretty funny. Then you've got this couple. One of them is a nurse. One of them is a therapist, interracial POC couple. I love that. Love to see it. Love that. And I guess my favorite actor, I don't know this guy's name. I know that he's in other stuff. My favorite actor is the guy who plays the nurse, because that's another thing about this whole movie. It's bad acting. Like, pretty much everyone is not good. But I think that was mostly the writing, because the writing is just so obvious. It's just like there's things that are like laid out that are very, very clear plot devices. It's like almost everything that is said and expressed is some sort of plot device. And these two characters are kind of stereotypes. I mean, the therapist is always just wanting to get people to talk and do certain things, and she has epilepsy. And I guess the stereotype about the nurse is that he's so used to being seen as incompetent because he's a nurse, and of course the other guy's a doctor. He speaks down to him constantly, and that's the kind of like one-sided thing. And the moment that he tries to sort of show that he's useful, he dies, of course. The doctor and the vain woman bring their daughter, and there's this scene where the little boy from the family and the daughter are like sitting in this tent, and they've already started to age up, and they've gotten to that age where they are experiencing sexual attraction, and so they have sex in the tent. This is never shown, but by the time they're out of the tent, she's pregnant. By the time they walk back over to have a conversation with their family and rejoin the group, she's having the baby. Unfortunately, she does miscarry. That's really, really sad. And that obviously gives her postpartum, which she really quickly goes through as well. There's just a lot of stuff like that. So the doctor's mind is deteriorating, and he is becoming more and more suspicious of basically all the people of color on the island. I'm realizing this now, that this is a central part of his personality, because he doesn't actually go after the father from the main family, though the father from the main family, I believe, is some sort of spicy white, I don't know where he's from, but he has dark features, let's just say. So he does actually end up attacking the dad from the main family, but it's only because he thinks that he's going to report him to the police. I guess one interesting thing that they did was that the father loses his sight, and at the same time, the mother loses her hearing. And so that ends up being a complicated thing where they have to now navigate the island together using each other. And for context, they were on the verge of a divorce. Everyone on this trip has some sort of illness. She has a tumor that's growing within her that apparently is going to kill her, and that's led her to want to go on a vacation before they eventually have a divorce, and she ends up being a lot worse off. Like I said, the rich doctor does end up attacking the mom and dad. They survive that attack by kind of working together. It's a really long, scary attack because, like I said, one of them can't see, the other one can't hear, and so they kind of have to work together to fend him off. Ultimately, they end up dying naturally, I guess you could say, because they die of old age. So at some point, now this part of the movie pissed me off a little bit. At some point, he's having a conversation about the fact that the kid from the hotel handed him a coded message. And I don't think we actually even see him hand off this message, but apparently he did. And he decides to pull it out of his pocket and to translate it. And the message is something like, "My dad doesn't like the coral." Then they show this coral that's like way off in the distance. And I don't even think that they show the coral at all before any part of this movie. But the coral off in the distance is there, and they go and swim out. It's only them that's alive now, the brother and sister. And so they swim out to the coral and they swim through it and they escape. On the other side, they are apparently past the point where, the aging thing is affecting them. Now, meanwhile, M. Night Shyamalan's character, because of course he's in this movie, of course he put himself in this movie, he is observing them from a rock. That's when we learn that they were all part of an experiment. Apparently, what they were doing is trying to test certain drugs. When they get to the hotel, they're given these cocktails, and these cocktails apparently have medicine in it that they are testing. And basically what they're doing is observing how effective this medicine is on this beach. And the reason why they're doing that is because they could get all of the discoveries they need within a day, as opposed to years and years and years and years. So after the brother and sister get out of the coral, they go back to the hotel where they confront people, and the gig is up, and that's the movie. That is the movie. Now, I honestly feel like if you've read the plot synopsis, you've seen this movie. If you've read the plot synopsis, you already know all of the things that happen in this film. I don't think it's worth watching. I definitely don't think that it's worth risking the Delta variant to go see. Let's just put it that way. So that was my quick little review and thoughts on M. Night Shyamalan's film, Old, which I think is a terrible name. Apparently the original comic book is called Sandcastle, which I think is great. Before the brother and sister leave the beach, the brother asks the sister if they can make a sandcastle. So I thought that was kind of cute. I thought that was kind of a nice little ending. And now that I know that the actual title of it is Sandcastle, that is so much better. I honestly just felt like this film was lazy. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but the impression I got was that it was pretty lazy, that it didn't really require much. And I just think it could have been fleshed out, but I feel that way about pretty much every M. Night Shyamalan movie. M. Night Shyamalan's movies are very frustrating for me because they've got like a really great and interesting premise, but they just never do it the right way. I appreciated the ending of this film because at least it kind of gave an explanation with the why. A lot of M. Night Shyamalan's films, they get really close to doing that, but then they don't, you know what I mean? They just cut it right before it starts making sense, which is very, very frustrating to me. But yeah, that's basically how I felt. I thought that it was a movie that movied on Movington Lane, I guess. So if you've seen the movie, I would love to know what you guys think. If you read the comic book, I'm really, really curious what the comic book is like. I've been debating whether or not I should get it because I kind of like the concept. I just wonder if it was better, executed in the source material, because that's often the case. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know how you guys feel about the movie in the comment box below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.